Hello friends, this is Kural Pant from MISHAL today, and the latest going round as of today, that is 5th May 2022, in this ongoing Russia-Ukraine war or the Russia-Ukraine conflict has been that President Vladimir Zelensky has become the face of Ukraine's resistance against Russian President Vladimir Putin's invading forces with impassioned speeches such as an address to the United Nations Security Council in which Zelensky said and accused Russian forces of committing war crimes. Mr. Zelensky came into power with little traditional political experience before he was elected. He was best known for playing a television role in an ordinary school teacher accidentally capitulated into power. The show Servant of the People ran for 4 years, making him a household name. Mr. Zelensky says he knows that he at the head of the Kremlin's kill or capture list, but he insists that neither he or nor his family will leave as he tries to keep his battered country together. Also doing the round has been that ever since Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine in late February, companies doing business in Russia have faced a critical decision. Should we stay or should we go? To some, the only ethical thing to do is to pull out of Russia's entirely. Jeffrey Sonnenfeld, a Yale University management professor, said that anything short of that will fail to cripple the economy and doesn't truly condemn Russia as a rough nation. But to others, the situation isn't so black and white. There are good reasons, they say, for continuing at least some commercial activities there. These conflicting stances can be seen playing out throughout the prism of the Drucker Institute's measure of management effectiveness, where the highest performing companies trend towards the less absolute camp. Also doing the round has been that Vladimir Putin's assault on Kyiv has failed. His Black Sea Fleet flagship, the Moskva, has been sunk. His soldiers are dying in Ukraine at an extraordinary rate, with as many as 15,000 killed during the first 5 weeks into the war, more than the Soviet Union lost during a decade in Afghanistan, and he needs a victory fast. Russia is approaching a critical date next week that has become the most important day of the political calendar for Putin's regime. May 9 is a victory day in Russia, marking the anniversary of the end of the World War II, or as it is known there, the Great Patriotic War. Putin has elevated the memory of that conflict to the status of a national religion in recent years, as he has exploited the war of rally support for his leadership and transformed Victory Day into the country's most important national holiday. Russian troops were reportedly originally told they must win the war in Ukraine by May 9 in the time of the Victory Day celebrations, and the Ukrainian military says that it recovered dress uniforms from the abandoned Russian politicals or the positions outside Kyiv, presumably intended to be worn for a triumphant parade once they had captured the city. The Russian president's initial plan for a quick victory in Ukraine have been thwarted, but that doesn't mean he is prepared to counteract the defeat. Instead, British defense officials have warned that Putin will intensify its offensive over the coming days to demonstrate significant gains. Russia likely desires to demonstrate significant success ahead of the annual 9th May Victory Day celebrations, said a UK intelligence update on April 21. This could affect how quickly and forcefully they attempt to conduct operations in the run-up to this date. Also doing the round has been that European Union's EU's sixth package of economic sanctions against Russia included a dramatic new twist, a ban on Russian oil. On Wednesday, the European Commission proposed a ban on EU purchase of Russian crude within 6 months and refined products by the end of the year. The EU isn't the first to do that. But the move is significant because the bloc buys almost half of the Russian oil and oil product exports. It's a weapon that Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, will notice. The EU has been discussing a ban on Russian crude for weeks, but momentum picked up around the time Berlin found alternate suppliers. Potential holdouts Hungary and Slovakia have a 20-month exemption to likewise find alternatives. The ban could be approved as early as Wednesday through a veto by Budapest remains a possibility. Oil prices rose just 3% in early trading. It went about 3% in the early trading as the embargo was well telegraphed and the restrictions will be phased in, and many buyers are already avoiding Russian crude. Russia's reaction is hard to predict but will be very, very important. More than 2 months after the Russian President Vladimir Putin sent troops to Ukraine, Russians are beginning to confront the toll of the war. Mr. Putin has justified his actions by saying Ukraine, which has a Jewish president, is run by Nazis, a claim for which he hasn't provided any evidence. Russia's defense ministry said in late March that 1,351 Russian soldiers had died in what it calls as a special military operation. It hasn't released any casualty numbers since Western governments estimate that as many as 15,000 Russians have died, more than the total loss over the course of the Soviet Union's decoding war in Afghanistan. A survey published by the independent Levada Center pollsters in late April found that 57% of Russians blame the US or the North Atlantic Treaty Organization for the deaths and devastation in Ukraine. Only 7% blamed Russia. The survey, however, found that 74% of Russians supported the offensive, a slight drop from the previous months. Residents of a village newly liberated by the Ukraine forces told the deprivation and looting during 2 months of Russian occupation. Ruska Lozova, a village of 5,000 on the main highway from Kharkiv to the Russian city of Belgorod, was occupied by Russian forces immediately after the war began on February 24. For 2 months, the village cut off from Kharkiv and the rest of Ukraine was subjected to harsh military rule. Residents said cell phone coverage and electricity were halted and food supplies, they were totally stopped. More than half of the Ruska Lozova's residents escaped the village, but many of whom went missing. There was nothing to eat for 2 months. Everyone was just scavenging for whatever they could find, said Shumov, 39 years old. Mr. Shumov, who worked before the war at the sausage factory, said he had been looted by the Russians, said he weighed 212 pounds before the war, but by the time he fled Ruska Lozova to Kharkiv on Friday, he was 165 pounds. Nina Lovova, 63, said her son went missing on April 15 when he and a group of villagers tried to raid a chicken farm. I don't know where is he now and he doesn't know where I am, said Mr. Lavrova, who arrived in Kharkiv, Ukraine's second largest city, on Monday. While the Russians checked residents' homes and phones, they didn't steal from the inhabited houses. Those abandoned by the residents were another matter altogether. They were taking everything they could from these empty homes, electronics, TV sets, even half-empty perfume bottles. They were saying, "We are going home on rotation soon and will be need to bring new gifts," said Vadim Zelenko, the 52-year-old truck driver who left Russia Lozova for Kharkiv on Sunday. Ukrainian forces pushed into Ruska Lozova on Friday. People cried of happiness when they saw our soldiers, it was told by Shumov. And this is all for today in this ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. or the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Stay tuned with us on Mishal Today. This is Kunal Pant from Mishal Today, Lucknow.